Ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourselves for the one and only World Improv Network comedy show on Mile High Sports Radio. Take part in the show by giving your suggestions or questions to the cast for each show segment throughout the week, or live during the show by hitting them up on Facebook at World Improv Network, on Twitter at World Improv Net, or by calling in to Mile High Sports Radio studio line. Now, enjoy the show. It's local. It's global. You're listening to Win World Local News.
Win World Local News on Mile High Sports Radio. I'm Potter Smittss. And breaking news into the Win World Local News sports desk from Win sports reporter Frantic Freddy, who's live in Dublin, Ireland for the 2017 Vegan Cheese Eating Championships. How's the competition going, Freddy?
Good to talk to ya, Potter. It's me here in Dublin at O'Leary's Vegan Pub, and it's a great day today because no one's having any gluten, no one's having any fat, and no one's having any kind of artificial ingredients. There is one thing going on, though, that's a little bit sad. Outside the pub are a group of Angus cows, knowing that indeed their hard work and their fine dairy milk are going to no good for anyone. But that's not what we're here about, crying cows. We're here about eating vegan cheese. There's another nice thing about vegan cheese too, and that is you can eat a whole block of it, and the next day you won't be having any kind of GI upsets, if you know what I mean. Next week they're going to be having a vegan burrito competition here too, and I'd love to go to that because I think that would be something to have a burrito that doesn't give you any kind of upset, if you know what I mean. Potter, it's great times here.
Well, excellent reporting on that story there. Thank you so much, Frantic. Our next breaking story is brought to us by Win contributor Patty from Bird City, Kansas. Rubber stamping bad ideas reached an all-time high this year as families all across the U.S. are pondering why they made such irrational Mother's Day plans. To find out what terrible Mommy Day decisions made this year's Twitter Top 5, let's go to social media reporter Paul Bunyan, who is in Times Square, New York, with the live countdown. Paul Bunyan.
Thanks, Potter. It's Paul Bunyan here from Times Square, New York. Well, I have to tell you what's happening, Potter, on this Mother's Day. We got with Twitter, and we have the top 5 list of terrible Mother's Day decisions. Coming in at number 5, one of the worst decisions for Mother's Day is to take your mother to the hospital to see a baby being born. My gosh, we had a line at the hospital. They were taking numbers. We couldn't get anyone in the door. Bad decision, so we just sat outside and ate pixie sticks. Some little girl was selling them because her mother was giving birth and they were not watching her. Coming in at number 4, Potter, on the worst Mother's Day decision is to expose your breasts to everyone you see. Not a good decision on Mother's Day. Here I have with me Candy Milkskin, and she is going to report about why she was exposing her breasts. Hi, Candy.
Hello. Well, my son always thought that it was a very nice thing that he was breastfed until he was 6. And because of that, he's always kind of looked at me with a little specialness. I was very surprised, though, when we were at Country Buffet. I was right there by where they carved the roast beef. And he said, "Mom, I love you." And he pulled down the front of my blouse and made me turn around. And he kept talking about quality time and just plain quality. It was terrible. He's still my son. I still love him, but oh my goodness, he's going to have a lot to make up for next year.
Well, thanks, Candy. Here's a cigarette, and remember to button up your shirt. Coming in at number 3 of bad Mother's Day decisions is taking your mother to the zoo. Not a good decision on Mother's Day, and I'm not even going to touch any more on that one. Coming in at number 2 on bad Mother's Day decisions is buying a ticket on Virgin Airlines to the moon. I'm sorry, they're not for sale yet, even though there was quite a line out in Branson's farm in Branson, Missouri. That's the guy that developed Virgin Airlines. Coming in on number 1 bad decision on Mother's Day Can I have a drum roll, please? A thumpa thumpa. That's right, here in New York City, I've got my drumsticks out. The worst decision on Mother's Day is to get married. Because if you are, you're not a happy mother. Potter, I'm going to tell you something. We've got a wedding happening in Times Square. Don't get married on Mother's Day. Back to you, Potter.
Wow, I was really contemplating that for next year. Thank you so much for that advice. Our next top story is brought to us by win contributor Jake from Scottsdale, Arizona. Pope Francis bestowed the holy honor of sainthood on Portuguese shepherd children this weekend, angering aristocrats and celebrities worldwide for not being considered for sainthood as well. To hear what renowned folks have their rosaries most up in a bunch, let's go to live Win Catholic celebrity correspondent Tobias, TMZ, who's standing by at the Vatican Bistro and Wine Bar in Hollywood, California. Tobias?
Thank you, Potter. We're having a great time here at the Bistro and Wine Bar in Hollywood, California. Yes, indeed. Well, I'll tell you, there are more than a few people who have got their Chardonnay in a bundle because, let's just face it, 2 kids being made into saints, they didn't even have the chance to get burned at the stake or anything like that. They had no trials, they had no tribulations, and as I'm walking down the street, I'm seeing people with that kind of, oh my God, what happened look. Excuse me, sir. Yeah, you there with the Chablis? What do you think about the Pope's decision?
Well, I think the Pope is a very smart man, and he's all about inclusivity. So whatever he decides, I would back him 150%. And that means that's twice plus a half, and any backing, I'm actually Jewish, sir. I'm sorry. I don't really populate. So I could comment on Jewish nation or Jewishness or anything Jewish you'd like to talk about. But the Pope stuff, I'm sorry, you know?
I'm a Catholic reporter, mister. So I'm going to have around Passover look you up, and we'll have some important things to talk about. And I'm glad that you're 150% for the Pope. Probably the most heartbreaking thing that happened completely out of the woodwork was that Lorne Greene came back from the dead and made a complete ass out of himself by getting drink and getting ghost sick everywhere. And all he kept saying was, what about the other saints? What about the other saints? And I said, Lorne, there's nothing we can do about that. Bartender, I'll have another scotch. Potter, you've got a show.
Wow, thank you, and hope you don't pound too many more of those. And now for a look at the weather, let's check in with Yucca Hurricane, who's frolicking on the carcass of a mysterious 50-foot sea beast that washed up on the beaches of Maluku, Indonesia. How's the weather and paleontology going, Yucca?
Okay, Pata, it's so nice to be in Indonesia. And oh my gosh, there's a 50-foot big sea monster up on the beach. Whoa, he's tickling my feet. He's still a little bit alive. We're trying to get 35 people to throw him back into the water. He's so heavy. Ow, my lower back. Oh my God, my lumbar spine hurt. I'll tell you something. When his blowhole gets all happy, he shoots water and it rains on top of me. So I would say the weather in Indonesia is blowing wet. Blowing wet, yes, blowing wet, full of lots of blowhole sea business. Oh my God, he's rolling over. He's rolling over on me, Potter. Oh my gosh. Oh, what's that? Oh, whoa, don't turn your back on a sea beast. You might be surprised what pops into your back. Oh my God, this is not professional. Excuse me, Mr. Sea Beast. I am trying to report the weather, and I don't know what you're doing, but he's really cute. He's got a nice smile. Oh, and he has a snaggle tooth. It's so cute. He's got one tooth. One tooth, Potter. Back to you.
Wow, Yucca. That was an intense story, and thank you all for tuning in to Win World Local News on Mile High Sports Radio. I'm Potter Smittss. Stay tuned for Community Court next on the World Improv Network.
Give the WinCast your suggestions via Facebook, Twitter, or by calling into the Mile High Sports Radio studio line during the break for a case that needs to be tackled during Community Court. Next on Mile High Sports Radio.